All right. All right, we are live. Greetings, fellow traders. Let me get this tweeted out here so everybody join in. 1 second, please. All right, let's see here. There we go. Here, here. Live stream links here. And one more. Do 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 do. Let's see, we got this here. Give me 1 second, guys, as we get logged in here. Let's see. All right. Let's see how that pulls up here. All right, awesome, awesome, awesome. Good, good, good. All right, well, I hope everybody's having a great trading day today. And whew, what a day today! I mean, just another epic V reversal today for sure. So pretty amazing stuff here so far. We'll go over some of the big names here that have been moving here today. A couple of the thoughts that we had going into today. A couple of the thoughts that were invalidated today, and we'll go over names that are moving up, names that are moving down, and names that are chopping. Right. So we'll go through there too, and we'll try to get into some of the chatter names too. If we get a chance, I would like to profile a little bit of the chatter quant for you guys. And just and see how that's going. And today we did find a couple things that were pretty nice on here. Of course, Apple popped up recently, but we'll take a look at a couple of the names here that popped up in the chatter today, which were pretty helpful. So good stuff there, guys. Again, before we get started, everything we're going to talk about is for educational purposes only and not investment advice. So please take a moment to review this disclaimer. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good, good, good. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look and see where we are with the market here today. So let's see, SPX, guys, we're up about 8 points. So what do we got going on? We are green on the monthly chart, right? So we're still generally bullish overall after last week's green candle. Remember, or last month's green candle. Don't forget that completely invalidated the bearish engulfing candle from September, and we're still seeing some upside follow through from that. We've generally been bullish, right? So one of the things that we were looking at, we were talking about yesterday, how we failed to break out of the inside day high, inside week high, and we kind of came back into range. That was leading us to the setup for the wave 2 move, right? And that's basically what we've been tracking here, guys. And we got a piece of it, right? We got a nice piece of it here this morning, and that was it, right? So very similar, right? If you fail to break out of an inside candle, right, you look for the reversal back into it, and that's exactly what we got today, right? So we took the inside candle down, but could not get below the ADMA on this one, and it could not hold below it, and then they ended up working back into that inside day range. Very, very powerful move on that one. And again, that's one way to look at it. If you guys are short and you had some profit, and this thing started to cross back over the inside day range, again, having an extra monitor or an extra screen or space available on your screen to look at those inside day candles, or just the daily candles, kind of see how they're managing, right? That was a nice push back into that range right there, right? To kind of test. So again, 50% of the range is about our area of where we expect it to go. It's kind of where we're at right now, just a little bit above there. We're at the 75% range right now, and so we'll just see how it wants to hold here, kind of going into the rest of the day. So pretty cool stuff. We might be expanding this wave, right? So one of the big things that we were tracking was the potential here that this was an A, that this was a B, right? And then we were looking for the wave C move, right? It looks like we had an overshot here and we kind of pushed our way down. So honestly, it looks like it finished this area. Due to, let's see, so this could, if this were a wave 1, this is clearly an A, B, C down right here. I mean, you could argue that there's maybe this was a wave 4, and then this was wave 5, and then so this was like wave 1, and this is wave 2. But I think that's a little bit extreme. The market is pushing down here off of these levels here right now, actually pretty fast. So kind of tricky, right? So to me it looks like A B. Looks like this kind of got the B move up right here. I would say this, and unless it was unless this was some sort of running flat, it's huge, right? So this would be so wave A, so A B. See, I mean, that's really stretching it on that one here. So again, quick pullback right here off of these levels. We're seeing a lot of extreme moves here recently near these all-time highs. And honestly, the action today made it look like it was working its way to all-time highs. But we'll see if this dip gets viable here today. My assumption at this point is that this is probably wave 1, and it's working on a sub-wave 2 on the next wave up for the wave 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to move wave C over here. We got pretty close to the 618, so I'm okay with that. So we're going to move wave 2 over here and say that this is done, right? So we have this ABC down, wave 2, right? And so at this point now, let me kind of get rid of this. Let's clean this up a little bit. Here, here, and here. Wow, it's pretty impulsive move down here so far, but I'm going to take this here, move this here. And what it looks to me like this is a wave 1 up, and it might be working on a zigzag back down. I mean, this is just, the market is just crazy. So, but here, let's see how it holds the 618 retrace now off of this subwave, and how it handles basically the 4687 level. Right now, it's at the 382 retrace already. Just in the amount of time it took me to post the to post the links, this thing pulled back already, like very, very quickly. Right? Again, these down moves have been very sharp here recently, which is kind of amazing. Anyway, cool stuff. So let's see how it goes here. This could be, like I said, this could be wave 1 up. It could be working on sort of like an ABC wave 2-ish right here to the 618, and then we'll see how it goes from there. Otherwise, there's something else behind here. There's a wave count on this thing that is just not necessarily completely obvious, right? So we got this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up. Again, this could be A. I mean, this could be A, honestly. This could be A down here as well. This could be B. And then we can see a wave C down. Either way, tricky area right here. Let's get some more impulsive. Let's get some more clarity on this one. These candles are very, very fast here on the hourly chart. So we'll kind of go from there. Sharp pullback on that one. Very interesting. Let's take a look here at the intraday price action and just see. Yeah, it's okay. Let's see. Sharp pullback. Came right into the zone. Isn't that interesting? It came right into the zone right here. This was the that inverse head and shoulders where we got that drop before. We're like 4 points away from all-time highs. Dropped right off of that zone right here, so that doesn't surprise me at all. Let's actually take a look at the SPY now, and we'll keep an eye on this. I do think that this was impulsive, right? This is clearly impulsive. 1, 2, 3. You can see a nice 4 triangle 5. Again, this is what this is probably doing here is like a wave A, wave B, wave C type thing, and then we'll see if it continues to work its way up going into tomorrow. So today's takeout of this level to me completely invalidated the potential for this being a subwave 2. Right, so to me, this is, because this could have been a wave 1, this could have been a wave 2 if it stopped here, and then we could have seen some downside impulsive action. I think they're going to hold this thing up right now. So that's kind of, and you can see they're kind of buying that right here so far. So some pretty amazing stuff. So we're going to talk today. We're going to talk about Apple, and we're going to talk about Amazon and why this big move happened here today. So we're definitely going to go through that here in a little bit. Let's take a look at the SPY and see if we got a zone up here. We should have a zone up here, but let me see what we got. No, we actually don't put those on the SPY. We put those on the S&P futures. So again, SPY obviously very similar right here. We look to see on this. This was a really solid drop here this morning. We were leaning toward wave C working its way down. We thought we were going to get some chop here today and then see a larger wave down. But again, only price pays, right? So we can assume as much as we want to, but price is going to tell us which way it wants to go, right? And so once we pushed over that 618 move right here and then clearly got to the highs of the day and then broke above it, it was obvious that this was getting like kind of just like an H pattern and a reasonable retrace on that was not happening, right? In fact, there was no confirmation at all. There was this little red candle right here with no volume that was like, see ya, right? That type of thing. So no big deal there. Let's take a look at the S&P futures. Into the futures. So let's take a look here and see how this is going. Okay, so all right, here's 5 minutes. Yeah, okay, so right into the drop zone right here. So we've got this zone right here. We talked about this morning, guys, in the bubble report, and Bubble Report, by the way, just rocking it with our game plans every day. So again, that's where we get all these levels. We put these all out there for you. You can also download them if you're in the Discord from our server and upload them right to your Thinkorswim platform and get these levels so you can trade off. You can see how powerful they are, right? And so look at this. So we had this zone right here. It's a support zone right here. Held it, right? Perfect little bounce off of this one, come retest to it right here, then a move back up, and look where it got, right to the next zone, and that's where it found some resistance right there. So that doesn't surprise me because that was the drop zone, right, from the other day, right? So the that inverse head and shoulder breakdown, right? You can see here we got a lot of volume in this area right here. This was actually, it was actually a double zone, but I believe it got taken out by some of the overnight activity right here. But this one held up really nicely. So we had this nice drop base drop area right here, came back up, retested it. And again, very fast moves today. Normally, I don't see. Normally, we haven't seen a huge V reversal like this in a while. Normally, we have been getting the retraces a little bit better, but it was almost like we typically see. I mean, they bought it just as fast as they flushed it, which is crazy, right? So the first little bit was like, okay, yeah, I just kind of got choppy right here, but after they got out of that range right here. Plunge protection team came right in to save the day, right? So and so did all the dip buyers, right? So I saw a funny tweet the other day that somebody said, like, you know, it's gonna be the age where there's no more chart patterns out there except for the V reversal. When you look up the playbook for the for 2021 to 2022, right? It's just that's it. That's the only chart pattern that was out there. Just buy the dip every time. So pretty fun. So, Cyrus, what's going on? Apple, yeah, we'll take a look at it here and see what's going on. Yeah, we've got a couple different targets on it on Apple. I think now that it's hit all-time highs, I don't think it's just like done. Tomorrow might be an interesting day. Tomorrow's Friday, guys. Tomorrow's option expiration day. Right, so OPEX tomorrow. So look for, some more shenanigans and all that stuff. But what I'm really interested in is see what the market does on Monday, right? So I'm always interested in the first couple days after OPEX. A lot of people they look at the beginning of the month. I think it's more interesting to look at option expiration because what happens is you get all the gamma wiped off the board for the most part, and then you come into fresh options, right? So why do we care so much about options? Not only because we trade them, but because they can move markets now, right? So these days, it's like the stock market is a derivative of the options market, right? It used to be the other way around, where options has kind of followed where the price went and all that stuff. But now, market makers, since the options are so popular, there's so many retail traders in the game, and that's why we use like tools like ChatterQuant to give us an edge to see what a lot of retail traders are talking about. Very, very powerful stuff. Check out the link in the description to learn more about it. We've done a bunch of videos on it, and I'll profile a couple names here today too that have popped up on it, which have been pretty great. So that being said, we want to make sure that that we're on top of it and where these options are going. And so after options expiration, if we start to see a nice push in the gamma one way or the other, then that can give us some idea of where the momentum goes. And why is that? Well, when you're in positive gamma territory, right, the market makers tend to buy dips and sell rips, right? When you're in negative gamma territory, the market makers tend to hedge in the position in the direction that we're going. Right, so if we're flushing, the market makers tend to they have to take on short positions in the market or in the S&P to keep a delta neutral portfolio, right? A delta neutral book, and so they do that. But they also hedge even in positive gamma territory when there's a significant amount of volume going on, right? So if we've got like 1,000 lot being traded on Apple calls, right, then the market maker is going to buy Apple, right, just to hedge their position, right? Because that's a 1,000 lot is pretty decent, right, for a market maker who does the markets on options, right? So when you start to see that stuff, it can move markets because market makers got some money, right? They can add to price, right? And that's exactly what it is. And that's kind of what we've been talking about recently in our group, how much of the market is manipulated, how much is it isn't. Well, the reality is that there's so many people entering at any time, right, that entering the market and leaving the market at any time, it's almost impossible, right, to really gauge the overall sentiment, right? But big money can move shares, right? And they can, and so it all depends, right? It all depends. These market makers start stepping in, start putting some cash into these names, right? You start seeing they start hedging to the upside. Things can move, right? And you saw that here today on the ES once we went, on the SPY once we went negative gamma to positive gamma. And names like Apple, we'll take a look at Apple here in a second. Huge open interest, huge volume, and we can even look at the option chart, but huge volume on the Apple 155 call. So really really amazing stuff there, guys. MES for you guys futures traders. Again, just a V reversal right now. We'll see if we can get back over these highs. Again, like I said, this is a quick pullback right here, but I'm not surprised that they're buying the dip here. It looks like just some fast action today, guys. Just pretty amazing stuff. Let's stay with the Qs. And again, we pointed out the 155 calls in our group. I mean, normally, this V reversal, it's tough, right? 'Cause, you get FOMO. Like we talked about, emotions this week. You get FOMO like halfway through, and it's like, do I go in? But then, when the market has that type of tailwind, and you see some action on some of your names, like Apple, right? That's where you look to get in, right? And so you want to ride those waves, and we pointed that out today in our group, which was pretty nice. The Qs, guys, obviously some tailwinds here. We were pretty bullish on the Qs at the open. They gave us a decent little move here above the pre-market highs, and just no follow through on that, and then they dropped with the rest of the market. We were cautious here overall. But there was one name that stood out that was pretty remarkable, and that was Amazon. And we'll take a look at that here in a little bit as well. But the Qs, again, nice bounce off of the Gamma Flip level today. IWM. So IWM, guys, is pretty cool. This is what I was expecting the SPY to do, right? To kind of work its way up here and kind of push its way down. But again, when you got names that are so heavily weighted on the SPY, like Apple and Amazon both moving, right? We got that straight there. Look at perfect 618 retrace on the IWM today, right? So relative weakness on this. And we drew this this rising wedge pattern here in the bubble report this morning because we were concerned, right? It had relative weakness yesterday along with the banks. Had relative weakness today along with the banks, and the banks weighed heavy on it. Like the regional banks ended up were all weak. The XLF was weak, and everything was pushing down. Yeah, I need to build it. Yeah, I need to build it. I know exactly. I mean IPO, and what else can we do? We're gonna add some more. So we're gonna NFT it and all that stuff. So on my new, I'm gonna create an electric vehicle, go IPO, not have anything on it, and then get some LiDAR on it too, right? And then have it, I guess, have weed delivery in it too. I guess, like, goodness gracious, if you're in the state where it's legal, right? So, anyway, so interesting stuff there. So that being said, beautiful 618 on the IWM, still in negative gamma territory, and just kind of doing its thing off of the rising wedge that we drew in the bubble report this morning. So let's take a look at the XLF and see why we were bearish. So we were bearish on the banks this morning, guys. The XLF was beautiful. It was really working its way down nicely here this morning. So again, once it cleared the lows of the day right here with this beautiful candle, right, we started to look for short opportunities in the banks today because they were relatively weak yesterday. Right, and the market was blah too, right? So anyway, everything's kind of aligning and nice this morning, and then everybody just bought the dip, right? So it is what it is. But we did get a nice move. We had short ideas on the XLF in the group today. We had a lot of ideas this morning that we put out there. We had the Goldman Sachs short. JP Morgan would have been a good one. We pointed it out, but didn't take a trade on it. So we had XLF, Goldman Sachs. Facebook was a nice one that was a short at the open too. We could take a look at that one here in a little bit as well. Let's take a look. So that was the XLF. Let's take a look at the VIX. Putting on the VIX. So VIX, guys, yeah, I mean, VIX was perking up today too. And then look at that big shooting star candle here to before the big reversal, right here. So I'm done, and then back down to the 17 level right here. But it was getting perky, like it wanted to get to 20, and then it was like, nope, never mind. So we had that going on there. So pretty cool stuff there. Other than that, guys, those are kind of the big ones right here. Let's take a look at some of the names that we've been tracking here as well. So obviously Apple, this was a huge one, right? So Jim Cramer was saying Apple, better to own it, don't trade it. Well, we still trade it too. You can own it as much as you want, and that's great. So where we're going, we don't need roads. Exactly. That's the one. That's it. That's it. Let's see. 1.2 gigawatts. So some pretty cool stuff there. But yeah, so Jim Cramer saying, own this, don't trade it, right? Well, we can still trade it. You can own it as much as you want, right? And obviously this is a great day, but trading it makes for really nice cash flow. And so, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can't just get that. You can't just go to the grocery store and get that. Love it. So really nice stuff here. So again, once we broke out of our zone, right, this was a long idea that we pointed out in the group today. And guys, the options on this were on fire today. The the 155 calls. I mean, ridiculous. Let me pull it up here. It's just I'm not. I've got it on a different screen here. But if you pull up the if you guys on your screens, if you go to your option chains and you go to the 155 calls on on Apple, the open interest on them, guys. Don't. I mean, I know people are bullish on Apple, but when you got 122,000 contracts sitting on the 155 calls, open interest, right? It actually, Apple actually looks like it's bull flagging right here too. By the way, 122,000. That's huge, right? You think somebody kind of maybe thought this thing was going to go somewhere, not just because the chart was amazing that we talked about yesterday on the live stream. Remember this chart from yesterday, triangle breakout, right? So like we said, if you had some runners on this one, all good. Didn't like the upper shadow, but if you had runners, good. Look how good those runners were today. Woo! Anyway, so that being said, so guess what the volume is on these today? 344,000 on the 155 calls. You think they were hot? And when we were getting in this, they were 200 something thousand, right? That's huge. So anyway, so this once we saw the volume start to come in this, I'll put it on the 1 minute chart so you can kind of see it amping up. Look at that. And this is a perfect candle here. Look at that. Look at that volume right here. This is we talked about this last night, right? We talked about this last night. So when do we like to get involved, right? I like, I don't like this. You get like here's like double volume, right? You went 49,000 to 116,000. That's not. I mean, so that's a kind of like just kind of mamby pamby day tradey type stuff, right? But when you go from an option, this is on the 1 minute chart. When you go from a volume of 87,000 to 1.7 million, 87,000 to 1.7 million on the volume. We start to take a little bit of interest in that, especially on a name like Apple that's got such a strong daily chart on it, right? That's almost 20 times the volume. You think that's bullish? Yeah, I would say so, right? So I would say some whales started to get in here, right? You can't hide that, right? Like my friend says, elephants don't fit through doorways. Look at this, just slamming through everything on this thing. Incredible. 87,000 to 1.7 million on the 1 minute chart. You think they're trying to cram into this thing? This thing's ready to get going, and it's on such nonsense. It's like on the Apple car stuff. It's the same old news, right? So, but apparently they've got a new management team that they're working on that's like has experience. Maybe they stole some of them from Tesla or something like that. So we got that going on. Anyway, Apple, super strong. Keep an eye on it, see how it goes in the end of the day. It could be bull flagging right here. Look for a volume breakout. Might give another trade. But don't force anything, guys. This is a great example of euphoria, right? This is that we talked about last night. And in fact, Apple is the one that was our euphoria name, right? So this is a great one, right? So you get involved, right? And once you get to target, right? And what was our target, right? Well, the first one right here obviously is getting through the zone right here. We got through the zone right here, right? We get to the next level. And so, Osiris, to answer your question, can we get to 160? It just all depends on when. Today, maybe. Right, here's the 2.618 extension. This is on the that we were talking about right here, right? And then 159-ish is the 3.618 extension. This is what we were talking about yesterday. So I mean, it's definitely possible. It just depends on what time frame really. Is it going to get there today? I have no idea, right? But you can put a channel on this right here and just a little bit of a bull flag, and see if we flag here. If we do, right, and we end up breaking out of there with some nice volume that comes out of here, right? So we can here's your flag pull, right? So what we do, we'd go for a symmetrical move on this one here. Go to the bottom of the flag here. And even a symmetrical move here doesn't get us to 160. So we'll see how that goes. But it gets to about the 159 level. So again, you got to be familiar with trading Apple. You don't know what your time frame is. It sounds like you probably got weekly options and you got the 160 calls and you want to see if they're going to go in the money, right? So maybe. I mean, they might get to 159. They might not. We're chopping around right here right now. So if you're way up in the position, see how it holds. Great. If you have some runners, cool. If not, right, this is why debit spreads are so much more powerful because you're not going to get chopped up, right? So when you get a big move right this, the volatility goes up and then it starts chopping like this. The position starts to go down a lot. So you really need this thing to break out with some volume. Otherwise, be careful. It might just kind of hang out here for a while. So we'll see how it goes. So that's Apple. And yeah, I hope everything's going good. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. So that's Apple here today, guys. Kind of amazing. So what was the news? The news is this electric vehicle, automatic driving, and all that stuff. And I have to imagine. I mean, Teslas are really cool, right? I mean, it feels like you actually are going into an iPhone or something like that. That kind of feel to it, right? That technology feel. So you can only imagine what Apple's cars are going to be like. So if they actually do make some, but I think it's not a horrible idea for them to get into something. I was just thinking about that today. Like you got a company like Nvidia, which has crushed it. Is just such a strong company and sells out of all their products and all that stuff. But all they have to do, they don't have to necessarily keep innovating in terms of like coming up with something amazing. They just have to keep improving, right? Their graphics cards. People buy them, right? Because they're using them for mining and all that stuff, and gamers use it for all that. But Apple's got to be innovative, right? They've got a lot of competition out there. They've got the iPhones, they've got the earpods, right? They got they're like a producer of like multi-components, right? That type of thing, right? Nvidia is like a component of something larger, right? So Apple's always got to keep the product curve moving up, right? So they've always got to come up with some innovations, and sometimes they don't, and it stinks. But working on the card brings a whole new product line for them that they're gonna have to try to keep fresh. But they might come up with a fresh one as long as they don't team up with Hyundai, like they were talking about. Goodness gracious, team up with like something more Apple-like, right? Like, I mean, who would Apple team up with this? Like also like Toyota or something like that, right? Like something that's known for quality or something. Like Honda might be interesting, or something even slicker, a higher price than Audi, just like really pretty cool stuff like that, or Maserati, right? So anyway, but pretty interesting. So Ferrari would be awesome. Lambos. But anyway, that's Tesla. So let's take a look at that here. So let's take a look at. I'm sorry, that's Apple. Let's take a look at Tesla. So Tesla, because Apple's getting involved in the electric vehicle space a little bit more after that news here today, Tesla actually took a little bit of a hit on it, right? When Apple was working its way up, and Tesla, gave a little nice down move here this morning, a little bit of a retrace, kind of sloppy price action here today, and and then worked its way down once Apple came off with that news. So it's almost the inverse of it, right? Here's the kind of like the bear flag, right? We put the bull flag on Apple. Here's the bear flag on Tesla. So it's holding support, right? It's going between zone and zone. And again, we provide all this stuff for our members that they can download into their Thinkorswim charts and kind of go from there. But for the most part, right, that's what's happening, right? So we'll see. It's going to be hard to keep Tesla down, but Tesla's over $1,000 right now, right? So pretty funny stuff. One of the things that we were thinking about the other day is like when Tesla did its stock split, it's like imagine just like YOLOing long on that, right? Just anyway on Tesla, and then Nvidia did their stock split too. It's like these two huge names. After their stock splits, just ripped, right? It took a while, right? They did their things, kind of worked their way, did blah, 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 and then boom. Incredible stuff on these wild names. Really amazing on these. And Nvidia's doing okay. Not as good. AMD actually did a lot better this morning. It's back down now, but it was quite the push here this morning. Very, very nice at the open, then back down again here with all of it. But so not a really true gap and go candle on it, but it did give us a nice push. We pointed out so many great moves this morning. Normally it's like onesie twosie type stuff. Some are kind of like sketchy, but there was a lot of stuff moving today, and a lot of it might just have to do with options expiration tomorrow, positioning with options that are like we said, right? The stock market's like a derivative of the options market, and kind of starting to move things around here. So pretty cool stuff. But anyway, that's kind of the main ones that we've been tracking here today. So definitely keep an eye on Apple going to the afternoon. Look at that bull flag. Keep an eye on Tesla, see if it does the bear flag. Let's look at a couple more, and then I'll show you some of the ones that that came up in ChatterQuant today. ChatterQuant, guys, by the way, is an app that we've been using. We've done a bunch of videos on it. You can see them on my Twitter stream. I've got a 3-minute video on it and a bunch of other ones on our YouTube channel here. But they basically tell us. They alert us on stuff that's having unusual discussion volume on FinTwit and Reddit and all that stuff, and so you don't have to like kind of scour through and try to find stuff. It puts it right in front of you. It's very, very powerful, right? We talked about Pfizer yesterday, gave us a good move, so we'll go back and forth on a couple of those names here in a second. But I just want to show you Roku, guys. We pointed this out short this morning in the group today because it's just getting continued downside follow through. And what did Kathy Wood do yesterday? She bought more of it. And I said it yesterday. I said, I bet you Kathy's buying this thing. There's a huge red day today. I bet she's buying this thing today. I mean, does she not have any technicians that... If she's got technicians working for her, she's either not listening to them or they have no idea what they're doing. So, So we got that going on. So poor Kathy. We root for her all the time. It's just, she had a great year in 2020, but she's doing great this year too. I mean, if you use Tesla, but I mean, just sometimes stuff like this, it's like I get it, but can we wait for a setup? I mean, we're not even oversold yet right now, and we haven't gotten a little. I mean, maybe if we get oversold here on the RSI weekly chart and we get below the lower Bollinger Band, this thing will go. But my guess is that my assumption, we've been calling this thing the 200 for a while, honestly, ever since she got into it. But let's see how it holds the 200 level. Again, this is down here today. I think it's going to probably hit this area. I think we probably consolidate there for a few weeks and then might start going up. We'll see what it does after earnings. If they have a miss on earnings and things are bad, right, this thing can get to 150, 100 if it really wanted to. So you just got to be careful with that averaging down stuff. I mean, it's kind of like what we talk about all the time. I know she's got a much bigger portfolio than most of us, so $58 billion. But we got that going. Michael Phillips, what's going on? I know the Kathy Blessing is now the Kathy Curse. There was actually some research done about like all the different funds that she's owned in the past. And usually sometimes they'll do a big spike and then most of them end up going down, and I guess that's why she always continually changed funds and all that stuff. But she just did, she just got famous really recently. I mean, she's been doing great obviously, for a while, but over the whole Tesla thing, right? So the Tesla to 5,000, right? Everybody's like, what's this lady? And then when it got to 2,000, people are like, maybe she's serious, right? And then Bitcoin to 100,000 or a million or whatever it was. But anyway, so we'll see how it goes. But Bitcoin's doing okay, but this Roku trade, goodness gracious. Woo! We'll help her out one day. We'll get there. And then Bob. Oh yeah, Bob was another one too. I mean, who knows? Who cares what their earnings was? But normally this thing doesn't gap too much on earnings, but it sure did today. Really nice down move here again. Once it lost 150 pre-market, this was a great down move right here. Some of our members traded this one short today and did really well on that. So that was pretty cool. I did not mess with Bobo today, but it did. It's kind of at the low end of the gap right here, this prior gap. So it's got to hold the 140 level. Let's see what it can do there. And Reed, yeah, what's a million between friends? I haven't even calculated what the total amount is right now, Reed, but I mean, it's got to be in the tens of millions of dollars at this point in terms of losses. I mean, just overnight here, it's got to be like a million or so. Goodness gracious. Anyway, so those are the main ones right there, guys. We looked at Roku, we looked at Nvidia, we looked at AMD, we looked at Apple. Oh, Amazon. So this is the one, right? So this is the one that really helped the market move today. So this was the one that kind of stood out this morning. We did actually, it was tough because the entire market itself was bearish this morning, but Amazon kind of hung in there. Once it got a pusher to the 3,600 level, right? There's a couple levels right here. I was like, this is probably a short since the market is really going down. And so, hey Mackie, yeah. So the tool used for option flow monitoring, I don't. I just go to the. I haven't found a tool that I really like yet. I mean, we have our own one here in the Discord, but I just go to the option chain in Thinkorswim. If you go back on the live stream this morning and look at the video later, you'll see I always refer to it, right? I always look and see like what we got, what's happening on those options. Yeah. So I just use the TOS option chain, and then I use ChatterQuant for the social media sentiment. So I'll send you. Here's a link to ChatterQuant. Give me 1 second. I'll post it here for you guys too. It's here. I'll post it here for you guys. Hold on. Let me get this here because Twitter likes to do its little thing to get its analytics. So there we go. So there's this right here. So that's the ChatterQuant link right here for the. They have options in there, and I'll show it to you here, guys. So I just wanted to show you Amazon. So the rest of the market was weak. Amazon, we called it as a short idea here. So I mean, it was a quick, 20-point trade. Nothing wrong with that. But then when it held and held this zone right here. Something else was going on, and this thing started ripping before the rest of the market started ripping. So Amazon is strong and heavily weighted and all that stuff. So Amazon really did the heavy lifting early, and so I would keep an eye on it and see what it does tomorrow. We may get a spike up here, tag this old geometric line, and then turn into a shooting star. And it might turn into a rough move there going into OPEX. But we need to see how things go after option expiration. Okay, I got it there. Okay, cool. So that being said, okay, so that's Amazon. Like we said, did a lot of the heavy lifting here today. Now, guys, these names that are just super strong, like Amazon and all this stuff, they get tight, and they go, right? So that's kind of the idea right here. So Amazon's been strong. It's been in a big bullish harmonic that we've been tracking here for a while. Here's the harmonics on Amazon, right? So we've been basically just riding this wave up, right? 1 2 1 2 3 4. I mean, this thing is just going its way up here. So it looks like it wants to maybe get to all-time highs pretty soon. So Apple already hit all-time highs, right? So we've got that going on, of course. Uh, yeah, exactly. Let's get that ES over the zone. That's the key area. That's the drop zone on the ES. We need to get above that. Uh, Michael Phillips, you think Facebook Meta is gearing up? Maybe on Facebook. I mean, it's just Facebook, right? But I keep on saying, Netflix is just Netflix, and they just kissed all-time highs yesterday at 700. Oh my goodness! I remember I used to trade this thing when it was like $30. So yeah, $700 on Netflix and Facebook. Let's take a look. Facebook's a little bit different right here. It's it had a sharp drop at the open. Uh, it has to stay here, right? I mean, this is the area. We're at the 50-day moving average. We're at the ADMA, so maybe it gets tight here, Michael, and then starts to pop a little bit. So definitely keep an eye on it and see how it goes. It's already had its earnings, right? Earnings were good generally, and so it's got some time to work. So yeah, see if it gets tight here and gets get compression to expansion type move. So good stuff there. Okay, good. Yeah. Yeah, ChatterQuant's got their own option thing here too. So let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at ChatterQuant, and let me get this pulled up here for you guys. So we take a look at a couple of the alerts that came out today on it here. And give me 1 second. Let me find a screen for it here. Do 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 do. Oops, it's there. It's just an old one. Hold on 1 sec. Add source. Hopefully this doesn't crash everything. There we go. This. Okay, there it is. There's the ChatterQuant right here. Okay, so here's ChatterQuant, guys. Hopefully you guys can see that. Let me just make sure it's popping up here in my other windows. Yep, it's popping up. Okay, cool. Just a little delay on YouTube there. So again, guys, ChatterQuant, really super duper powerful software. We like it. We love it. We want some more of it. And what it doesn't give too many alerts during the day. Only the stuff that's kind of trending on social media, and it does all all the work for us. So we don't have to look at everybody and see what they're tweeting about, right? This kind of gives us a really cool stuff. And so Tesla, obviously unusual option activity or unusual discussion activity about 30 minutes ago, essentially moving with in inverse of what Apple is doing. Apple. With some nice discussion activity. Obviously, this was a little bit past. I like how they say how many times it alerted recently. So Apple has been really hot recently. We talked about it last night. So some cool stuff there. Intel and Nikola, but this is one that we've been tracking here for a while. Pfizer, it alerted yesterday and kept us on top of the bullish move on Pfizer, and that also gave us a good opportunity this morning either to capitalize on profit or to take a trade on it with some nice action there on Pfizer today. And other than that, guys, obviously BABA, Michael Phillips, so BABA was discussed here today. That's definitely one to keep an eye on. Obviously, it was after earnings, but still gave some good moves, right? And a couple of the other names right here, those are kind of the big ones this morning here. So. And everything else was pretty much right before the market opened on some stuff. But really nice stuff here. So one of the cool things too is that you could do, right, is you could look up your options flow here, Matt Geek. If you look at this one here, this kind of gives you option stuff. You can't search individually for it yet, but it does give us cool stuff. But in the trends, what you can do is you can see if there's any option activity. And what you do is you go to custom search. And if we go to, Apple's already pulled up here. So what we do is we go to custom search. And you can see this. Look, back on the 28th, it got a little bit of chatter, and then there wasn't a lot of chatter on Apple because it's Apple. And then today, boom, big chatter, right? But that's obviously the move is pretty much done here for intraday. But you can go back here and kind of see what type of option activity you've had that was interesting, right? So yesterday, near the close, right, there was some good flow coming in here. We had the 205 calls, they're showing those were pretty hot. The 155s were pretty amazing here too recently. But it does give you a good view of what's moving and what's trending, right? So, but there's other tools out there too that are good. But like I said, we primarily for our options, we look at the option chain and because we could see it right as it moves, right? The flow algos and the cheddars and all that stuff, they're going to be like, oh, we got a sweeper, we got all this stuff. But you could look at that all day and it'll just drive you nuts because it's just like, okay, well, that sweeper didn't do anything. That one, So, but when you have news and you have chatter and you look at your options and you're like, okay, this thing's breaking through 200,000 volume on the day. There's probably something going on there. And like we said on the volume today on the volume today on Apple on the 1 minute chart from 87,000 to 1.7 million. I mean, that's definitely something that makes you go, that type of thing. So cool. So pretty good stuff, guys. Again, I got the ChatterQuant link there, also in the description. If you guys want to get signed up, you get a coupon on that. And other than that, guys, good job today. If you're not in our group, look at the description too. You can check us out and jump in and join us in our Discord. And good stuff. Thanks everybody for tuning in for the live stream today. It's been a fun one. We'll see you guys at the market wrap and see where we're at with this crazy market here today, and go from there. So good job, everybody. Stay healthy out there, and remember your risk first, and stay safe.